In a world where Carolina Panthers fans have an insatiable thirst for Panthers news and opinions, only one podcast roars ferociously. It's the C3 Panthers Podcast.
What's the deal, Panther fans? It's your boy, the Professor, a.k.a. Tony Dunn. It's the C3 Panthers postgame show where tonight the Carolina Panthers fell 20-3 as they hosted their first home preseason game, second preseason game of the year, and we remained defeated as the Baltimore Ravens remain undefeated for some ridiculous amount of time in the preseason. So look, we got a lot to talk about when it comes to QB battles. We saw our first performances of some of the starters today. We did not see Christian McCaffrey, but we saw Sam Darnold. We saw Robbie Anderson. We saw, I don't think I saw DJ Moore. We'll get to that a little bit more as we go on with the show. But let me welcome in my co-host, Cody Lashney.
Tony Dunn, what's up, man? We're here for another preseason postgame. And, to borrow a term from boxing, the Ravens drug us into deep waters and drowned us. The defense could not do anything on third down, and the offense at the end of the day couldn't do anything, couldn't move the ball, couldn't stay on the field. But as always, we're going to break it down. We're going to be your therapy session with the best Panther fans in all of YouTube. Raleigh Lee, Kego Fort, 10 Tizzy, The Real Zero Chill, Sideshow Rob, Adam Sanders, AJ Liddy, Tony Dunn, and nothing to it but to do it, brother. Let's roll.
We rock these post-game shows after every game, and you can be a part of it by calling in and leaving a message on the Can't Calls line. The number is 252-228-5098 when we get your thoughts on this Panthers performance. 2 turnovers by the defense early in this game. Some of the ones were exciting, but as we move down the line, I mean, of course, you start to think about the depth and different things. And again, CK, Joey Sly comes right out there and misses a kick right off the back.
Right. Yeah. And it's continued to be a thorn on our side. The good news is this game didn't come down to a single kick. So I think a little bit of that pressure that would normally be on him is no longer just on him. I think this was a failure across the board, but he has shown time in and time. Like I've been an advocate for Sly. I've been, let's give him an opportunity. He's got an incredible leg. Maybe he can finally get these things dialed in. It's clear to me that every time he goes out, there is a 50-50 shot. And I even said it in my commentary of the game, Madden 22 simulation that I did, that those balls are 50-50. Every time he goes out, there's a chance he's either like it's straight down the middle, where most kickers, it's about an 80 to 20% chance that they're going to be missing or making it. So, it's at this point in time, I made a tweet about it, and we could talk more in depth about this, I'm sure. But how is it that the Ravens have 2 kickers with one of the greatest kickers on their roster to ever play the game, in Justin Tucker, but we have one that has not shown that he is a consistent and reliable kicker? I just don't get it.
Don't forget, tonight's show is powered by Volta. You can own your own energy with a Volta, no money down. Add equity to your home. Take advantage of federal and state tax cuts by achieving energy independence and getting a fixed utility rate or energy rate for life. Call Kevin Brown Solar Consultant at 704-215-3373. That's 704-215-3373. Tell him C3 said keep pounding. He'll hook you up. You got to be a homeowner in North or South Carolina. Let's dive right into it. Let's start with what we've been waiting for. The Carolina Panthers ones were out there, folks. The ones were out there.
Yep.
We saw Sam Darnold, even though I've been saying no need to see Sam Darnold and this starting offense. But the best case scenario happened for Sam Darnold, and that is he delivered, right? Is that he looked okay.
Right.
It wasn't perfect, but he threw the ball away at times when he needed to throw the ball. He connected at some points. So it's exciting. You just didn't want to see him come out and look bad, right? Because after we watch the backup QB play, we need him to be the starter. So your evaluation, Cody Lashney, of Sam Darnold's debut in the black and blue, or actually all white tonight?
Yeah, I mean, there really wasn't much to talk about. I mean, we had this one drive, and I felt like they ran the football more than they put it in Sam Darnold's arm. I think it was very vanilla play calling, and I really didn't think I wanted to see some passes in the red zone on the goal line there. I wanted us to kind of be a little more aggressive, but I kind of think we wanted to. Get our O line a little battle tested, and really, try and get them in some war right there in the trenches to start. There wasn't really too much to go on when it comes to Sam. I think we're going to see far more next time we see him against Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
But really, like, there's, especially now when all Panther fans want some hot take on Sam about either how awesome he's going to be or how trash he is. Like, there just wasn't enough evidence of any of.
It wasn't bad though by any means.
No,
it wasn't bad.
Saying. It was the middle of. It was the middle of. Like, it wasn't.
What
fantastic.
do you mean it was just middle of the right? Yeah, I mean it was fantastic in that he went out there and played one series ultimately or one drive.
And we can blame Hassan Reddick for making an interception that gave them the ball with like 20 yards to go. So it was like we already were ruined because he was only going to come out for one series, and he basically got the ball back in the red zone. So I mean, we got gypped because our defense actually came out and did their job and got us the ball early on. To be real,
I'm sorry, that was all on me.
No, his 50% completion rate is actually a fantastic thing because he only threw the ball twice. One of which was a dime to Robbie Anderson in the corner to get a first down. And then the other was throwing it out of the back of the end zone because there was nobody open, and doing anything else would have been catastrophic for that offense.
They did run the ball. They chose to run the ball down deep, and welcome to the NFL, Chuba Hubbard. Tough to get those, man. It gets a lot harder the closer you get to the end zone. Chuba Hubbard came out and had a catch, though. Nice catch and run today. Another up and down performance from him after the team continues to show a lot of faith in him. It had a fumble today. And I don't really blame the losses on him when it comes to those goal line carries. But, then you're looking at what does that tell us about the Panthers offensive line? Cody, I saw Pat Elflein started at left tackle tonight.
Say again? Pat Elflein at left? You mean Cam Irving?
No, I didn't see. They listed when I was watching the graphic. They said Pat Elflein. Did Cam Irving actually play on the first series? Please say yes.
Yeah, it looked like Cam Irving.
Thank God.
Yeah, Pat Elflein. Unless I'm wrong, Chad, tell me if I'm wrong. I don't think so.
I just swear I saw it on the graphic. Maybe it said left guard then, but I swear it said left tackle.
But listen. It was such a small sample size. Like, I felt more of a way about our defense. I felt like Jeremy Chin came up and made a really good stop. J.C. Horn on that 1 second down play was absolutely suffocating in coverage. I mean, dude, he gives these receivers no space at all whatsoever. I'm so pumped about what J.C. Horn's going to do for us this year. Brian Burns, for the very limited of time that we saw him, really looked fast and impressive. And I know I'm kind of jumping around here too, but listen, I think Frankie Louvu makes this 53-man roster. I mean, Frankie Louvu tonight looked every bit the starter. He's looked every bit the starter in training camp. He continues to ball out in both of these preseason games. I'm just loving what I'm seeing from that young man. And in the Camp Confidential that was released on YouTube today, he's basically they talked to him, and he had been coached a little bit by former Panthers legend Kevin Green. Mm-hmm. And he talked about that a little bit too. So, I mean, he has just continued to grow on me, and I'm really excited about his continued progress in our defense. Our first-string defense continues to impress, and I'm very excited about what we have the potential to see from them this year.
Hassan Reddick, what did he do in this game?
He got the interception.
Yeah, he got a big
Didn't
interception.
he get the interception in the simulation too?
He did. No. Yeah, he did. No, that was AJ.
I think.
That was AJ.
Okay.
By the way, if you haven't checked that out, uploaded today, CK did a full simulation of today's game in Madden 22, and it's quite the hit so far. If I do say so myself,
It was
you must
awesome.
check it
It was
out.
fantastic.
CK is fantastic, man, with that silky smooth voice he has.
I appreciate it, guys. Unfortunately,
I
this
can't-
didn't result in the same outcome that did, but we were playing all starters the entire game in that simulation. So, and if you think about it, in my opinion, I think our starters looked much better than their starters. Again, they did not have Lamar Jackson. So,
Yeah, that's a big difference.
yeah. Take
Giant
that with a grain of
difference
salt.
right there. All right, so let's stay on the defense for a moment. Don't forget, guys, you can call into the show. The number's 252-228-5098. That's 252-228-5098. I'm actually surprised there's no calls in the hole right now. We might, like this game, be out of here early.
Oh, yeah.
This game was quick. I didn't know, under 3 hours.
Well, you got to keep, you got to keep in mind that that when you have a team that is a run first offense like the Ravens, that were able to come in with take that second half and basically run with it the entire time. The clock was going to go down pretty quick because there's not a lot of stoppages, and that's what happened. Nobody used their time,
And no penalties until the fourth quarter.
Exactly.
Which they talked about.
Nobody used a timeout in the second half. By the way, there wasn't a single timeout used. So,
how about
when
the
it comes to
Ravens
this
only
defense,
had one penalty? The Ravens had one penalty tonight. That is absurd to me, man.
Especially in a preseason game where you're starting to deal with a lot of people who don't have their discipline down for this game. You're getting a lot of third stringers that aren't really getting the same reps dealing with the officials and the rules that they have to follow and everything that you're getting from the starters or the second stringers. So you'd think that they would have a little bit more. Luckily, they did at least have one that made me feel a little bit better about the situation. But yeah, that is insane.
Let's talk about whose stock went up and down in this game, right? We've heard Frankie Louvu's name a lot in this game, but let's start with the quarterback competition between Will Grier and PJ Walker. PJ Walker came out looking confident last week.
Right.
Got a whole half a play. Still has the confidence to throw the ball down the field. You saw that, like, he would take the shot, but he was off the mark tonight. While we could say it was with the threes and this and that, he was not sharp by himself. On the contrary, Will Grier, after a very conservative start and then a missed pass. I don't know if it's a missed pass or if he took a sack or threw it away. I forget what happened. It looked like, man, Will Grier just looks like he can't do much and dink and dunk. And then all of a sudden he settled in and started delivering the ball downfield. And one of those passes was to another guy who was high coming into the NFL, especially in Cody Lashney's mind, and is skyrocketing every day. Terrence Marshall Jr. with another big catch in this. What did you guys see in this quarterback, or what did you guys see from Will Grier?
I'll tell you. I mean, I it's something I expected to see, and that is somebody who's coming in who had an opportunity now to have the exact same offense that PJ Walker had last week. And by the way, if we want to start talking about apples to apples here, PJ Walker had a less than 50% completion rate and an accidental touchdown and a couple of almost interceptions in that game last week when people thought he did incredible and we should start PJ. He didn't do great. Like, he just got lucky on a couple of drops by the defense. And the other part is Will Grier was actually pretty smart with the ball. People want to talk about his spin move, trying to get out of that sack. Listen, there was nobody who touched that guy coming straight to PJ or straight to Will Grier. Will Grier came out and he showed that, hey, listen, I have an opportunity to take this backup position. Do I think he made that much of a move over top of PJ? I don't think it's a night and day difference, but I do think that Will Grier is now ahead of PJ Walker in this battle because PJ Walker came in with the offense in his hands. And what I mean by that is we were not running the ball as much as we did with Will Grier because we didn't have the lead. PJ Walker did not look good tonight. He was off the mark on every one of the throws he had, and he was overthrowing. He was just not doing very good quarterback things. And you can blame it on the offensive line, but it's the exact same thing that Will Grier had last week, and everybody crucified him. So I think we need to take this with a grain of salt. It is preseason, but I think Will Grier showed that he's the at least a little bit ahead of PJ Walker based on what I've seen.
So
Cody,
Will Grier, yeah, go ahead, Tom.
I was going to say that Cody CK says the stock is rising for Will Grier, falling a little bit for PJ. Who's ahead, Grier, PJ, or is it a more of an even battle at this moment?
Well, listen, I mean, I want to give credit where credit's due. I think that Will Grier definitely had the better night tonight of the two quarterbacks. He was 11 of 14 for 144 yards and a 109.5 passer rating. He was definitely the more impressive of the two. But I got to be honest, man, I still don't feel great about our backup quarterback position.
Absolutely not.
I don't feel like either of these two dudes have really put themselves in a position to say, okay, well, if Sam went down for whatever reason, I would at least have a certain level of comfortability with either of these guys to be able to come in and pick up the offense. And frankly, right now, we haven't seen that from either of them. I think PJ is more confident in his arm, but he also misses a little wilder. And then, I think Will Grier did some good things tonight. But overall, our offense all throughout the night would just stall in the red zone. I mean, we had 3 turnovers from our defense in that first half of football, and we could not do anything with it. And one of the most important things in the NFL is scoring points off of turnovers, and we just could not do it. And it really, especially in the second half, really took a toll on our defense, and we were just zombies out there. I'm even reading on Twitter that we had 18 yards of total offense in the second half, which is
because we just 3 and outed it. I mean, we 3 and outed it every time. And PJ, whenever he had a chance to potentially at least put us in a position to get in a 3rd and 6 or something, was off the mark. I want to, for me, when it comes to this, is Grier surprised me a little bit today. He played better than I expected he would, because I thought the pressure was going to be a lot on him. I thought that knowing that this Panthers staff seemingly favors PJ a little bit more, ultimately, I mean, part of that could be going back to the relationship between Matt Rule and PJ Walker going back to Temple. I thought that Will Grier pulled pulled ahead enough, not ahead, but at least this is an even battle. At the very minimum, I feel like this is an even battle going into week 3. And that actually makes it more difficult because now we're probably going to have to give the ball at. How do you do it? If you're going to, what are you going to play a quarter with the starters? If you play a quarter with the starters, then you got to give 1 quarter with the 2s to one guy and 1 quarter with the 2s to the other guy. And then maybe, what do you do? How do you make that happen?
I think,
because if it's a wash, good Lord.
Who was more impressive? Will Grier in the first half of this game or PJ Walker in the first half of the Colts game?
Will Grier.
I think it's about even. I think it's about even.
I think I saw a higher floor from PJ, but tonight I saw more consistency from Will Grier.
But let me ask you this. This is the problem that I have with this. Is a backup quarterback is not going to be coming in to light up. He is basically there to make sure you don't lose the game. PJ Walker is the type of quarterback that will possibly lose the game because he is going to be a Cowboy. He's going to throw that ball anywhere he wants to throw it, right? If we were talking about a starter, like if it was between Will Grier or PJ Walker, it would be PJ Walker because we're going to be playing with the ones. He's going to have a little bit more reps and everything with that. But when you're talking about not being able to develop that chemistry because you're a backup quarterback with your wide receivers like Will Grier or PJ Walker would be, I think you need to have somebody who is going to be predictable, and that is going to be Will Grier. And the thing is, people want to talk about that he just threw screens or he was able to get the ball. Listen, PJ Walker did a lot of that too, but you guys want to talk about that 20, 30-yard bomb that he threw to Terrace that was a perfect in-stride throw to Terrace Marshall. Nobody wants to acknowledge that he was able to do that better than what PJ Walker was able to do for him last week.
Well,
PJ
they both
Walker.
had 2 downfield throws. PJ probably had 2 good downfield throws last week, right? You remember the
Right.
Shi Smith one and the Terrence Marshall
But
Jr.
you know what was different?
one was good because he led him in a way that then Terrence could open up and get back around. So he was fine. And then today, Will Grier had 2 nice downfield throws that I remember. Terrence, but you're right, is that Will Grier, what he did do is go at one point 10 for 11.
Right. He had 9 straight completions. Like, I mean, that's not like the reality is.
I'd be fine with saying the edge of performances has lent to Grier. I would be fine with that. I just think that I don't want to get too caught in the recency moment of because PJ was pretty good last week. He was decent last week, and I think that Will Grier was more than decent today. So yeah, I'm with you. I'll give the edge right now in performances to Will Grier.
Yeah, I agree. And here's the part that I think we need to acknowledge here. Matt's got it right here. Willie G is the better QB. PJ is the better athlete. PJ, that's 100% true. I think that's a fantastic way to explain that. If Will Grier has the weapons behind him, I think he is a better QB. And somebody wanted to say Willie G doesn't strike fear in any opponents. When in the world has a backup quarterback ever struck fear in any opponent? That's the most.
It's really a non-issue. I don't even care about the backup at this point.
No, me neither.
If we're really going to be at the point where we're putting in a backup, I don't think our team is good enough to survive. Right.
No,
and I'm not saying, and so that might be the best thing. Yeah, and that's sad in some ways, but on the other hand, it's not. It's expected. This team was a 5-11 team last year who's hoping to take a stride to maybe 500 this year or more. But without a starting quarterback, you really could see an implosion happen. Like nobody at that point, you're going to start to be thinking about this. It's week 14. Christian McCaffrey might have a little soreness in his thigh. Brian Burns, has been dealing with a little shoulder, whatever. And then you're like, you know what? Let's start getting our young guys some reps and stuff. So, I mean, if Sam Darnold, and this is not weird. This is what it is like for every NFL team. If your starting quarterback goes down, you're usually dead in the water unless you're one of these teams that's elite at every other level. And we're certainly not that.
No, well, we haven't proven ourselves to be.
We're not bad yet. We're not bad, but I don't think we're a Super Bowl team in the making, right? So if we're not we're just begging to get 500 or the playoffs. So if our starting quarterback goes down, and we're talking about Will Grier leading this, you really think that we're be interested in the playoff discussion?
No, I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like a scenario like what happened with the Philadelphia Eagles, where Nick Foles came in and
who, by the way, was a starter prior to this.
Yeah, I mean,
he was a previous starter in the league.
Scenarios. Yeah, 100%. But before we get to, I mean, I don't know what else you had on the docket. I'm sure we could pick out something. But at one point, I do want to mention and bring up this rumor that is being reported by Joe Person about the guy who we're going to be paying. Did you see this?
Rob Anderson, yeah.
Yeah.
Which is definitely, I agree, it's a surprise to me.
So I wanted to share this real quick. What do we think of this? Joe Person is reporting that the Panthers and Robbie Anderson are in deep talks on a multi-year extension. A deal could be finalized in the next several days. And I'm telling you, dude, this took me by surprise. I didn't think that this would be a priority for us, let alone right now. I thought that we would be looking to save money to potentially sign DJ Moore after this year. I think right now my initial reaction to this is, Matt Rule really likes him some Robbie Anderson. And I think that
so do I. I really like
a lot of
Robbie Anderson either. Also, I think this is, I'm not actually tremendously surprised by it because number one, we've known that Robbie Anderson has not been here just as a handout. like as a favor to Matt Rule, and that really showed after last season. Didn't Robbie get 1,000 last year? So Robbie got 1,000 last year with bum quarterbacks where he couldn't even use his real skill set. Became in a possession receiver, like really did all of it. It was like, and I think this is the last year of his deal, if I'm not correct, right? He signed a 2-year deal.
Yeah, it was like a 2-year deal. Yeah. Which
so you know that my man is if you're a wide receiver at this point in Robbie Anderson's career, coming off 1,000-yard year, the last thing you want to do is get injured the next year, right?
Yeah.
And so he has been kind of forthright, as in saying, like, I mean, he said some things that like where he's had a little distance from the team in OTAs and some different things. I think he's been letting the agents and the team do their thing. Now, a multi-year deal does not mean a 5-year deal or something like that. They could, this could be something like where we're going to pay you, we're going to give you a 3-year contract, a respectable 3-year contract to where we honor what you did last year. We value as a member, but also we're not giving you a Calvin Johnson mega contract or something. You know what I'm saying? So so at some point is like, you know what, is you're going to have to pay people at some point.
Right.
So if you can, if this is reasonable and reasonably structured, it's not the worst of things, but yeah, I guess it is a little surprising because right now in the past, we're used to GMs using Terrence Marshall Jr. as a tool to fuck with guys like this, right? Think about the drafting of Vernon Butler was solely meant to fuck with the KK short contract. The entire reason that we drafted that guy.
Yeah, but we also at that time hadn't signed KK Short, and we, were hoping that we were going to, but we hadn't. So it was kind of like an insurance policy when we drafted Vernon Butler.
No, it was saying this: we're not going to be forced to having to pay you, so we're drafting this guy so we can lowball your ass. Like, I mean, it wasn't like insurance policy. My ass is KK should have been paid at that moment, and they could have drafted somebody else other than defensive tackle at that point. Dave Gettleman went against his own mantra. Dave Gettleman always said this, is that you use free agency to set up the draft. And then every year he just drafted because he hated to pay motherfuckers. Remember the year he drafted 3 cornerbacks in a row because we had no cornerbacks? All right,
but my
off topic here. That's off topic. I'm sorry.
But my thing is this though, like it goes back to after we paid Christian. I'm a firm believer that there are certain positions that you shouldn't have to sink a ton of money into. So again, I'm going to reserve final judgment until I see what the numbers are, what they end up being. But I have no doubt that this is true by Joe Person. Federer did mention that he was in contract talks with a certain player, that he wasn't willing to name who. So now I'm almost, it's certain that it's Robbie Anderson. But
right,
if let's say DJ Moore has a standout year this year, we're gonna want to pay DJ as the number 1 wide receiver, especially if he does have a big year for us going forward. Then that means we would have money sunk into a running back and 2 wide receivers. So it reminds me of some Marty Herney type of payment plans that I was hoping that we would kind of start to move away from. But again, I'll reserve my final judgment until I see what kind of dollars we're talking about, frankly.
And what multi-year deal
he's not a
means.
fan in the chat. 10 says he's not a fan.
Like if he's making the same amount that he made last year, which is any more than 13 or 12 or whatever, because that's what he made with it. All of his guaranteed money was last year, and so this year he's not making a tremendous amount. Everything he was a 20 million 2-year $20 million contract, and 12 or 13 of it was last year. So we're only like 7 or 8 that we're eating this year. So if it's more than 10 million that we pay him a year, and if it's longer than 3 years, that's a problem, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's going to be an extension. Well, actually, it says multi-year extension, which those are a little bit different than just like a free agent deal, to a guy, because they count some of the money of this year into it. I don't know. Like, well, like you said, let's wait to see. Guys, let's go ahead and get to the first call of the night. You can be a part of the show by calling in at 252-228 888-5098. We want to hear your thoughts on the Panthers starters, the Panthers backup quarterback situation, this defense, exciting defense, but also the struggles that permeate this team as we get past the starters and the first line backups who may actually be the starters in disguise. Call into the show at 252-228-5098.
So what are your thoughts on catcalling?
Yeah, it's pretty. You shouldn't do that to somebody.
And how did that make you feel?
Very uncomfortable.
So how do you think catcalling makes the person feel?
It feels good, like.
Who's that cat sitting in the back corner with his face buried in his nose? Who's that kid that can use one?
Hi, this is Steve calling. Hope you guys are doing well. I am doing well here at the beach. I love our defense, especially in the first half. I think in the second half they just wore out because the time of possession was against them. But I'm loving our defense, and I think our quarterback was really good, Greer. He looked really good while he was in there. And I think he moved pretty good. However, I'm also very concerned about the offensive line when it comes to run support. I mean, we couldn't run it all, and I know Christian's going to have more success, but it's frustrating when you can't get things going that way. You have a good day, guys.
Yeah, this defense was exciting for this team. Turnovers, some pressure, and it's almost situational football too that was good. There were some times where it was like, oh God, they're going to be able to run all over us again. It felt like a lot in that simulator was just like, oh, God, they just broke off an 8-yard run. And I was like, oh, man, I saw this defense last year. But as they started to get into situations that were important, I felt like they had some, and I'll look up the stats in just a second, but third down stops, some tackles for some loss, right? Brian Burns and these guys, I think they're going to be legit. And we saw just enough of them to kind of verify, or at least to continue to fan our optimism when it comes to this defense. And then you add in that even they took Jeremy Chin out before they took out half the other defensive starters. That's impressive, man. They think a lot about him.
Dude, I think a lot about him. You saw him today. I mean, he was everywhere in that first series that he played, like getting the tackles, even when they were getting past that first, our defensive line with those runs. Jeremy Chin was wrapping it up. I think Jeremy Chin is an elite athlete. I think he's going to be an elite player, and I really like his position now in safety because I think it's going to allow him to play more naturally.
I love what Jeremy Chin is for our defense. Listen, this is going to sound so weird just because it's such big shoes to fill, but really, in the absence of Luke Kuechly, it's looking like Jeremy Chin is going to be that player for us from that safety position. To be honest, it's kind of like a blend of Thomas Davis and Luke Kuechly, and that he flies around like both of them, but he's got a great mind for the football and where it's going. But he'll also hype you up too, man. You really get the sense that he's the heart and soul of our defense right now. So, yeah, I'm definitely loving Jeremy Chin and what he represents to our defense. I really, obviously it's still preseason, but I feel like he has no true home right now. They had him at some free safety and strong safety. Phil Snow has talked about also using him down in the box at that linebacker / nickel safety position. So, yeah, we're going to use him as a weapon all around the football field, and I'm pumped to see it.
Is that I tell you one person that's excited to see is Scott Fitterer, as he has dreams about that Legion of Boom from Seattle, right? Memories of that. Cam Chancellor, and they had another great Earl Thomas.
Yep.
Right. Together. Jeremy Chin is offering that kind of superstar power in that middle of the field, right? That center fielder. So that's exciting. One thing I like to see was Jermaine Carter Jr. tonight played all right, and that they are more and more using, like we got an interview with him. I'm starting to think Jermaine Carter Jr.'s role on this team may be pretty important this year.
I mean, we saw it happen last year, right? The moment they decided Whitehead wasn't going to be the starter anymore, we saw Jermaine Carter come in there and actually put up pretty decent numbers. Our defense started to kind of shore up, and we weren't nearly as down on our defense once they got rid of Whitehead. Whitehead was a big liability in that defense last year. And the moment that Jermaine Carter came in there, I think we started to feel a lot better about what we were doing. If that change didn't happen, if it had happened earlier, we wouldn't have been 31st in the league on third down efficiency. I can tell you that much.
I love this comment from Sideshow Rob talking about Jeremy Chin. He's like a queen on a chessboard. I love playing chess. He can move whichever way he wants. Right? I mean, that is a power superstar player right there. I don't know.
Steve Smith said on the broadcast that Jermaine Carter Jr. is the quarterback of our defense.
Yeah, I know, and he did say he's not. He is no Luke Kuechly, but he is definitely a stud, and I think he's going to be able to come in here and actually play a pretty important leadership role.
What was your favorite part of the Steve Smith broadcast tonight? All right, and look, is that at times I'm going, man, Steve Smith is I mean, he's working. He's like, I mean, look, it is his second time doing color commentary. I would do, and so I don't want anybody to sound like this is critical at all, because just say someone's sensational all the time would be just puffing them up so much. He's learning on the job. And as things go on, I mean, he's good, right? And he says some things. He said to Scott Fitterer in the interview with Scott Fitterer, they're talking about getting Sam Darnold and Frankie Louvu from the Jets. And he said, he said to Scott Fitterer, he said, that pretty much tells us the Jets don't know what they're doing, doesn't it?
No.
That was awesome, dude. I mean, that was awesome. The fans are gonna love it. The fans, we're gonna just soak it up. My favorite part. Go ahead. What's your favorite part of the Steve Smith
favorite part? There was a part where Kristen Balboni is she's out on the field and she's talking up to Steve and the guy next to him, and she's telling him like, "Man, it's so hot down there on the field. I bet it feels so much better up where you guys are." And it cuts to Steve Smith, and you can tell he's just enjoying the air conditioning. He's like, "Yeah," I mean, he basically didn't say it in these words, but he was like, "Yeah, sucks to be you. We're feeling good up here in this air.
It's pretty cool up here." Like,
yeah. It was like, "Oh, it's real cool up here." Like almost rubbing it in. It was like, "Yeah, sucks to be you out there on the sideline."
I thought that was perfect. I think that was one of the better. Not better moments. That was a great moment. She opened the door. She teed it up. If he didn't hit that, I would have been disappointed, because that's what I would have said too.
Dude, Steve Smith is awesome. It's his honesty, like he might not be the most technical, refined announcer, but he's gonna call it like he sees it. And if guys are tired or looking like bums, he's gonna tell you about it, man. He has that brutal honesty that we love about him. He kind of commentates the same way he plays football, just not giving too many fucks about your feelings. So yeah, I love it. It's fun. It's fun to listen to. And I
have two favorite moments. Moments. The first favorite moment has to do with an actual thing that happened on the show, and the other is more kind of like a style. The first one was when they were talking about, and this was probably in the third quarter or something like that, and they were talking about how excited they were, or actually I just said it. They were talking about seeing this team and the real team, all three phases of the ball, for more than just like a glimpse. And they asked, he asked him, he said, "Aren't you excited about that?" Steve says, "Oh yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to be here." He said like excited 7 times in a matter of 12 seconds. It was all, I was excited by the end of it. The other time was this. And actually, this is more advice for who's the guy doing it with him?
I don't remember that dude's
name. What is his name? Chat, help us out.
I'm bad with names anyway, but he
all right, so
too memorable to me.
Oh, so this guy. So what he says is this: he says in a somewhat athletic move or something. He's talking about. Let me just give you some advice for dealing with Steve Smith. Like, just give me. I'm going to give you some advice with Steve Smith. You don't need to remind him that he's the dog in the room, that he's more athletic, that he's more badass. he will remind you plenty of that
Right.
throughout the whole time. Do not tee him up for that. And he was like, oh, well, that might be athletic for you. I mean, he said that might not be athletic for you, but that's athletic for me and that guy on the field or something like this. And Steve Smith said something. He didn't laugh. Basically, he's not laughing at that kind of pandering. Like he doesn't just eat it up too much. But then later in the show, my man drops this and he's like, that's about as athletic as you and that guy over there or something like that. And he just fucking reams him for the rest of his life on that. Do not open the door for Steve Smith to dog your ass. He's going to dog you anyway. The number is 252-228-5098. We want to hear your thoughts on this preseason game. Guys, what else has stuck out to you as we wait for maybe some callers to stream in? Does not seem like the fan base is particularly excited about this game. And maybe it's late. Maybe it has to do with all the good things happened so early. And then after that, it was just like snooze fest.
Well, I want to hear from you, Tony. I think Shi Smith has been impressive. I think he continues to impress. I think he continues to have these plays where he will just go up and make an incredible play on the football. He's fearless, man. That dude's got.
That was the play. That jump play, the jump ball.
Yeah,
where he jumped
it ended up being out of bounds, but
this is what. Oh no, this was not the one that he caught. That was the one in the Scott Fitterer conversation. There was one later, and this is the one I'm talking about. The guy where Smitty comes back around or something like that, and he goes like he circled back to that comment of athleticism because Shi Smith jumps up for this ball and soars, and the guy that's doing the play-by-play says mistimed his jump. And this and that. He said he mistimed his jump, and then he came back and watched the replay. He's like, yeah, he did mistime his jump. It was a bit early. And Steve Smith said, for you, that's mistiming your jump. For us, that's hang time. No, look, Shi Smith, how about this? He is living up to what I think you're describing him as. But that does not change my mindset about what his contribution to the team and the immediacy will be.
Okay, that's fair. I mean,
I just think it's going to be hard. Look, there's only so many mouths to feed. We're going to feed DJ. We're going to feed Robbie. We're going to feed CMC. Now we feeding Terrence Marshall Jr. for sure, too. I just think it's like, yeah, I think you'll see some times where he might get some shots, and maybe there'll be some moments where he flashes and been awesome. I'm not going out and drafting him on my fantasy team by any means.
All right. Hey, I mean, listen, that's your decision. I'm just saying.
I think he'll make you draft him.
If he does, I might. If he does have a flash year this year, I'm saying your boy's not going to be surprised. I think that he's looking good.
What is a flash year in your mind? A flash year for him to me is like 300 yards receiving. If he gets 300 yards receiving this season,
I think he can push 5.
I'll be impressed.
I think he can push 5, maybe even potentially break it by a little.
What is that what is that? 17 games. What do you want? What you said? 500? 500 divided by 17. He's got to get 29 yards a game. There's going to be games where he ain't getting no 29 yards.
I mean, I'm telling you, man, we have so many ways.
He's going to be a 2. He's going to be a 1 for 13 guy.
Our first stringers have ways to open up this offense. You have to account for Christian McCaffrey, DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson. Like, we're going to have different ways to get guys open. So, especially if he continues to impress on these 50-50 balls, like going up and just grabbing the football out of the air from the hands of a DB, like that's the kind of dog that we need on offense, I mean, if he has a breakout year this year, I wouldn't be surprised. And again, I know that they have to prove themselves. This whole team has a ton to prove. But that's partly why I'm against paying a bunch of money for wide receivers. I mean, Terrace Marshall and Shi Smith are both looking really good right now. And we drafted both of those guys this year. If they both end up being a big part of our offense, then I don't understand why you would sink a bunch of money into the receiver position.
they're not going to be Terrence Marshall Jr. will be a big part of the offense. Sean Smith will not be a big part of the offense. I'm thinking this is right now I'm saying, okay, he's making the team, right? Not a problem with that. I tell you this, we're about to go to the next call. But if I'm going to tell y'all that are all like, this is the best. Everybody's saying this is the best draft class in the history of the Carolina Panthers. I am not down on these dudes by any means, but let's reserve our crowning of these guys for a little bit longer. And the reason is I lived, and look, is all of y'all, most of y'all were there for that 2015 season. And you know what? That 2015 draft class after the 2015 season seemed pretty fucking awesome. And then 2 years later, none of them are on the team. Right?
But that's
I think we got some hits, but I'm not gonna let's not get overexcited about our 7th round pick just yet. That's all I'm saying.
But what's overexcited mean? I mean, I think that right now
the best draft class in the history of the team, I think, is a tad oversized. I saw a tweet that said that. I saw that, and they brought up this draft class like 12 times. I mean, it was all over Twitter tonight.
One guy, listen, it's
look. Everybody is acting like this. Is that Terrence Marshall Jr. and Shai
are one of the best?
Okay, fine with that. Every year's potentially has that, but I think it's a pretty good class. I think it's a very good class.
I understand what you're saying. The proof is in the pudding. They got to prove it.
Time. Give me some fucking time. I mean, look, I'm excited. How much? You know what? I feel like this. The guy that's usually the hype man about people now, I'm the guy. I'm turning the old man.
Yeah, you're the old man now, dude. You're the old man. Listen, all I'm saying is this, though. Terrence Marshall Jr. looking damn good, okay? We already know. Listen, I think
he was a 2nd round pick.
I think J.C. Horn's going to be the defensive rookie of the year. All right, you already know what I think about Brady Christensen. You know, I think Brady Christensen again had a really decent night tonight. He showed the athleticism. Yeah, they do love him. He showed the athleticism. So again, that's 3 potential starters. I'm also really high on Deontay Brown, who also has been looking pretty good at that right guard position. And then we haven't even mentioned Shai Smith and Davion Nixon, who have shown their own flashes as well. So those guys all have to make the team. They have to be a meaningful contributor. But right now, at least as of this moment, it's looking pretty good.
I agree. If you know what it comes down to, for me, the magic number is 4. And what I mean by that is 3 is a very good draft. And what I mean by 3 is you hit on 3 picks. Like, and you in the retrospect, we look back at 2021 and we say, man, Horn, we hit 3 in a row. How many times do you ever hit 3 in a row? Right? So imagine that. If you hit those 3, it really just comes to me as if this is a great draft, is one of those guys on the backside is going to have to be an impact player in 2 years. And that makes it a great draft. That's how I view it. 3, right? Anything below 3 is not a good draft. Any 3 and a 3 is like the average down the road. But if you hit your first 3, that usually turns out better than saying we got a 5th that's a contributor. Something. Anyway, let's not get too much into it.
That's another name. Tommy Tremble had a really good night tonight.
You know what? We thought Ian Thomas was going to be the smoke.
Oh, he never had
his rookie year, man. His rookie year is coming out running the open field. Fuck that, man. Everybody was high on Ian Thomas after his rookie year.
No, but again, you're not talking about Tommy Tremble. You're talking about what other men in the past couldn't do. I think Tommy Tremble has way more athletic potential than Ian Thomas ever had. They're not the same thing to me. But I get it, man.
All right, you want to be a little recency bias. You know what? This is a little recency bias.
If you want to be the old man Scrooge, I'll let you.
I actually think I'm doing these homies a favor by not expecting too much out of them.
Hey, we'll see.
I mean, all right. 252-228-5098. Let's go to the next call.
Hey guys, it's Joey. stuff
What up,
from the
Joey?
game today. Will Greer looked like PJ Walker when he was with the Twos last week. Like when PJ Walker had the exact same players Will Greer had, they look very comparable. The only difference is when Will Greer was a pocket passer, or is a pocket passer, or was, I don't know what, like, you know, if he's like that.
Yeah,
Normally,
he's a more
such a
traditional type
small sample
quarterback.
size, but he was consistent. He, you know, he didn't think up the place like he did during that last Saints game. Oh my God, that was terrible. But he looked decent. Marshall and Tremble made plays again. Hubbard looked like Hubbard. Pretty good traditional running back. And man, that Frankie Luvu, God, he was good.
He was all over the place
And
tonight.
could you imagine like the whole stadium like we having something, you know, having another player that when you scream his name, you can make a lot of noise with Luvu, like you could say that. He was great. Sucks Kenny Robinson got hurt. I missed the starter series because I was at dinner. We need a new kicker, damn it. Joey Sly. He's got to go. Maybe get that kicker that was on the Ravens, Jake Verity from ECU.
Let's
Tony
go,
Glover.
Pirates!
And who was the one that was sounding like people were talking about Brady Christensen. They were talking just like Cody. But anyway, guys, I don't want this to get too long because I don't want to get rudely cut off. But anyway. Wow.
My man, thank you for the call, Joey the Blind Panther. And I saw someone put up, I think it was Kevin that said this, is that I didn't know Joey was out there kicking. Joey was kicking field goals tonight.
He kicked
AKA Joey the Blind Panther.
Oh, yeah.
Joey Sly,
Hey,
Joey
that's
the Blind
another
Panther.
thing.
It was a pretty good comment.
Yeah, we definitely have to continue to talk about that, right? Like knowing how
Right
important
away.
field
Let's
goal
talk about
kicker-
Sly right off the bat.
Yeah, it's terrible. He's terrible. He's not good. He has a big leg, but having a big leg doesn't mean anything. He's far too inconsistent. He continues to prove. How about this? Joey Sly is consistently inconsistent. Okay, like that's just how he rolls, man. He has a big leg, but especially from those short distance kicks, he's just not good, man. And the fact of the matter is, we needed to bring other people in to push him before this point. I mean, he really needed some competition, and now, like, who are you going to bring in at this point? I mean, maybe there are some guys out there. I'm hoping that there are some guys out there. But, dude, this is going to be a problem for us. It was a problem for us last season, and it's looking to still be a problem. I mean, again, I don't want to overreact to just preseason, but it's not like what Joey Sly is doing right now in preseason is going to be any different to what he will have to do during the football season. So I'm very disappointed in him. I think we need to move on and try and get a replacement. We damn near need to get some competition in here ASAP.
Yeah, I
Let's
agree.
go, Pirates. Jake
I mean,
Verity.
It just makes no sense. Like, it makes no sense to me. Like, why is it that you look around the league and you see the best kickers still have people coming in to actually compete, even though they know they're not going to beat this Justin Tucker out of a job, but they're still got two kickers on the squad, and then we're sitting here drafting a long snapper. Like,
I'm pretty sure the Ravens do this every year, though.
But that's what I mean.
So, what they do is they always get a guy in there. They know Justin Tucker is going to be the starter. I'm surprised Justin Tucker even kicked one tonight, right? And then they let this guy kick and look good behind him. And then right before they cut him, they trade him for a 6. I feel like they do this every year, right? I mean, I really, truly do think this is like a strategy by Jim Harbaugh, former special teams coach, right? But going back to Sly, My concern now is ever since I was talking about, you remember that kicker that they drafted, that Tampa Bay drafted, that had never missed a kick?
Yeah, Gonzalez or something like that.
Yeah, Rodriguez, yeah, whatever it was. Well, I forget his name, and he came in and just all of a sudden went from the best kicker in the history of college football to could not look like he'd never kicked a football again before. And to me, it immediately screamed, gosh, something got in this cat's head. And somebody brought it up on this show when we were talking about Joey Sly seeing a sports psychologist. And as soon as somebody, I forget if it was somebody in the chat or a caller or somebody on the panel, but whoever they were like, man, once you see a sports psychologist, it's over. Like, too late. And I got to worry that it is getting it's in his head now. But fortunately for him, he was able to connect on a second field goal to at least. I mean, man, I tell you this, he missed that field goal, that second one. Panthers aren't just bringing in a guy; they're cutting Joey Sly and bringing in a guy. Jake Faraday could be an answer, though. He is. I think he's perfect so far in the preseason. A couple of 40-yarders, right? All extra points, looking good. And I got to say, I'm in support of this cat who is a ECU Pirate alumni.
Oh, of course you are. By the way, I had to shout out Kilo Gargoyle, Joey Sly, the blind Panther kicker. Oh, that's rich. I mean, look. I mean, Joey Esquivel. He might be more clutch out there kicking than Joey Sly at this point. I mean, I wouldn't put it past him, man. Dude, it's a problem, man.
Maybe Joey Sly should try kicking with his eyes closed.
Yeah, he might have the same consistency.
It's the part of it, and I mentioned that before, like with him, like he was seeing a sports psychologist, and I know a lot of people are thinking, that's just par for the course, but I personally believe if he's already having those mental issues where he's not able to get, like, you're not fixing that. You're only going to make it worse by making him think about it more and more every time he misses. That's always going to be on the back of the mind of everybody. Like, he's got so much more pressure on him because everybody expects him to miss. Or if he does make it, like, they're like, all right, we'll wait and see the next time. It's never like, great job, Joey Sly, coming out here showing he's the best. He's making the most of his opportunity. It's, we'll wait and see what he does next. Like, that's what he's got to deal with. And that's not a positive environment to try to actually grow as a kicker. I mean, he's going to be in his head constantly. I don't think that he's going to be able to pull himself out of this. I'd like to see him
personally
do it.
Personally, I think he should wear a garter belt. Like in Bull Durham. Remember when he had the yips and he couldn't hit the strike zone or whatever it was in Bull Durham? He went out there and pitched with the garter belt on, and it took his mind off him. Joey Sly, that's what we should do. We should all mail him garter belts. That would be crucial and mean.
And this is not his second year. This is his third year.
Third year, yeah. Is my optimism, all the optimism was 18, 19 was a year where it was like, okay, and now 20 or whatever, not 18, 19, 20, 21, right? This is the third year. Speaking of kickers, you know who is fucking badass? Is Charlton. The guy last year, speaking of people who have, he was the dude that was accidentally booting it over the wall last year in camp.
Yeah, I remember that.
Remember? Like, and it was like it would kick it, like we were actually more fearful of that at that moment. This guy is just dropping dimes all up in the 10. I mean, he did it last week. He did it this week. He did it throughout the season last year. This guy is booming it. I love him.
Right.
Yeah, it just sucks to be in this position, man. Because you really don't realize how important having a good kicker is until you don't have one, So,
this I don't remember. This guy
Bull
said,
Durham.
"I don't." You need to watch Bull Durham right away.
I don't remember Bull Durham, but I wish I could forget the Beastie Boys.
I will say this much. I never thought that there would be another kicker that made me miss Graham Gano.
Yeah, and I told y'all that. Listen, everybody wanted to shit on Graham
I'm dying on
Gano.
my hill, man.
And
I'm dying on my hill. I don't like
y'all
Graham.
all wanted to shit on Graham Gano. And I said, hey, sometimes the devil you know is better than the one you don't.
Shush.
And
Which is
dude,
the
look
same
where
argument
we're
I
at
had
You know
now.
what? That's a
Ron
pussy
Rivera.
thing to say in retrospect, because the devil we didn't know, actually the angel we didn't know, was Harrison Butker, who we were stumping for at the time because we didn't like Graham Gano. And just because Joey Sly is not good does not make Graham Gano the answer. Jake Verity is the answer, obviously. Let's trade him. Who we trading? Ian Thomas.
Who would you rather have?
We're
Graham
trading-
Gano or Joey Sly?
Hey, we're
Neither.
Graham Gano.
Neither. I don't want either. It's not an either or.
Graham Gano was
Jake
way more
Verity,
consistent. Graham
other.
Gano was way more consistent than Joey Sly. Was he the greatest? No. And did he miss a lot of important kicks? Absolutely. But I think Joey Sly has been way worse than Graham Gano ever was. Like he's got a big boot, don't get me wrong, but Graham Gano has actually come in clutch on a lot of games. Unfortunately, Joey Sly has never won us a game.
I can't forgive Graham Gano. How can you forgive Graham Gano? He missed that 43-yarder in the Super Bowl that could have brought us within 3, I believe, at the time in the halftime and made that. And then the other one, the other dagger was 20. We had just lost. I can't forgive him. He's done 2 things wrong to me. It's like, unless this mug gets down on his knees and apologizes to me.
Why is he getting down on his knees?
Well, that's what I'm saying is I ain't gotten an apology for this. And so, you know what? I mean, I'm not ruling out forgiveness entirely, right? But if I did some shitty shit to my wife and I didn't apologize, I don't expect her to forgive me. So I ain't got no apology from Graham Gano for this mess.
Dude,
but here, there's
Joey
2
Sly
things. He missed that Super Bowl kick, and then the very next game where Cam was getting his head blown up. Cam drops us all the way down, drives us at the last second. He would have just been destroyed throughout the game. Cam hero wheels us down the field for like a 30-yard or 40-yard field goal, and Graham Gano doinks it. And I'm sorry,
but
man.
I also remember
Shame
Graham
on
Gano.
you. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool man can't get fooled again.
I remember Graham Gano kicking the game winner to actually win us a football game, which is something Joey Sly has never done.
You talk about that fucking Giants game.
Dude, until we get to that point, dude, then I'm not too happy with Joey Sly.
How many times has Joey Sly had the game on his foot at the end of a game and missed it? It's been more than like
3,
even when
3 or 4,
and that's
but
in a
2 of those
shorter
are
career.
ridiculous kicks. Cam, all right.
So was
All right,
Graham
enough
Gano
of that.
63-yarder.
What do we do? Actually, enough. I don't want to talk about Graham Gano because that man. You might as well start talking about how you want to bring how Colin Jones was better than some.
We need to get a veteran kicker.
Get out of here.
I think we need to get a veteran kicker, or we need to trade for that guy. You said, what should we trade? I think we trade that 7th rounder that we got for Greg Little.
Boom! Right away.
Yeah,
love it.
Yeah, I'm into it. Do something, man. We got to do something.
They're just going to release him. And who else is going to trade a 7th rounder to pick him up? I mean, he's going to get claimed off waivers probably before we get to him. So he's probably, that's the only way we're going to be able to guarantee we get him, is to actually trade before they release so that we can, have him on the field. I think that's what it's going to be. But I think
I love this idea. I love this idea is let's go after that dude because we know right now. If you just say that we're going to roll with Sly because we just think we're not going to get that much better anywhere else, that is almost like man, that is a real settle right here.
For a team
there's some real warning signs that have come up, right? There's some red flags that have arisen through not just this preseason, but the past 2 seasons. So if Joey Sly would have come out here, and I think the team did this for a reason. I don't think they brought in other kickers to help his psychology, like his psyche.
I agree. But that's also one of the things that Greg wants to talk about with Matt Rule, where Matt Rule says competition breeds brings the best out in people. He's like, I'm not going to name anybody a starter because I want them to have that competitive edge. I don't want them to come in here expecting something. Well, you're doing that with Joey Slye by not having competition. You're trying to coddle him when you're not coddling anybody else, at least in your own words. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. Your kicker is probably the most mental game, and if you're going to not probably get somebody in, if he is hurt by competition, you don't want him on your team.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to the next call.
Yo, what's good, C3? It's Justin Young. I'm in the chat is JDO54.
What's up, my man?
Get your guys' opinion on the offensive line, the way that they played from what I saw. The line actually didn't look too bad. Like, but they didn't actually look they didn't look catastrophic. That Will Grier looked okay in his limited time. Huge Gamecock fan, so anytime I see Shy making a play, I'm extremely pumped for it. All that being said, I'm extremely excited to see how this defense is going to look. Didn't like our third down efficiency this past game, but just want to get your guys' opinion on what y'all expect from the defense as a whole, and what you thought or how you guys thought the offensive line performed. All right, I'm out.
Great. You know what? And this is probably this is one of the focal points of what the Panthers are trying to figure out. And I agree with my man, right? Is I don't think the offensive line looked terrific at any point of the game, arguably. I think and this is where I think CK is right about Will Grier kind of having the edge on the performance, is that Will Grier also had to play behind the line that looked horrendous and had all these penalties. I felt PJ was a little too quick to scramble, kind of his tendencies where it's hard seeing over the middle. So he ducks and dives, and then all of a sudden you don't know where he's at. But when you looked at the first two quarters, there was one time where they didn't pick up a block or they didn't know what was going on. But we saw Brady Christensen again come out and have a good game. And on top of that, not only has he been good, or like you have been very high on him, right, Cody, over preseason week 1, despite what anybody wants to do with temper your expectations or say, well, he doesn't have this or he did this and they show this play. Guess who has been shouting him out all week? And that's Matt Rule. And tonight, Scott Fitterer again talked about it and very comfortably talked about how happy they were with his play. So as you look down that line, and I had to watch the first 10 minutes of the game on my phone because when I was at dinner with my in-laws. But so it's a little bit harder. Have we gotten down to who started? Half of the chat said that F-line started. Half of the chat said it wasn't. But we didn't see any major moments. And if we can get we need a average line at worst this year if we want to be pretty good. We need an average line. If we get a 15, if we're 15th in offensive line, I'm going to be actually pretty happy.
Yeah, I mean, I think that we have the players that can step up and play. I think Brady Christensen has impressed. Deontay Brown has looked really good, and both of those guys have received praise from Matt Rule and Fitterer. I mean, I think our offensive line played good tonight. I don't think that there was a problem by any means with our offense. In that first initial after that first turnover, when Will Grier had gotten the ball back, they started driving down the field, and then there was a miscommunication between him and I think it was either Shi Smith or Chuba Hubbard in the flat, and they just missed. And the offensive line gave them enough time to connect, but they were just on the same page, or Will Grier just underthrew it, or something happened. But the offensive line was not the weak point of our offense tonight.
I do think it was better in pass protection. I felt like we felt, in pass protection, it didn't feel awful. I don't necessarily, and I guess if you want to, because we shouldn't crown them just all of a sudden it's pretty good. There were some problems down on those drives where we're close to the goal line in trying to run the ball. were we getting the push and opening the holes up that were necessary? So work in progress. I-85 construction clearly.
Clearly. And now you understand why he says that, too. And by the way, I mean, whoever it is, Elfline or Cam Irving, dude, I don't know why Elfline would ever start at left tackle. I wanted to say that it was 75 Cam Irving. That's who I saw at left tackle. And I don't think it'll be either of them there very long, if I'm being honest with you. So, I don't know. I think the offensive line was impressive. I think there was some timing that kind of remains to be seen from the quarterback and the receivers. And this goes for everyone, too. That was that's what all the rumors were with Sam, too, that this training camp, him and the receivers weren't quite on the same page. Matt Rule said that the receivers had training camp legs, so they might normally run a 4-4 or a 4-3, but early in training camp, they're still running 4-5. So Sam's throwing to where they should be and not where they currently are. There's been a lot of that, and I feel like that goes up and down the board from Sam, Will Greer, and PJ. We really need to take this week building up to this Steelers game to get on the same rhythm and get on the same page and, try and find that spark, because right now I feel like our offense has not had that.
Let's shift the conversation to something that I don't think we have. We almost need to make this in the preseason, right? We're evaluating in the preseason, right? Tonight we've tried to evaluate the backup quarterback role. We've tried to evaluate the offensive line, how this defense, right? What are our evaluations of the coaching staff and how this team is progressing from not only through week 1 and 2, but also from last year to this year? A lot of people, I like the salty old man because I'm the old man of the show now. As the old man of the show, I get to now like the old dudes. And so I'm a big Phil Snow fan. What did you guys see after week 2 from this coaching staff? Joe Brady and the offense, we get to see a little bit more. The head coach. Your thoughts, guys?
I'll go first.
Yeah.
I said it last week. I'll say it again. Phil Snow is the best coach on the team. I don't think and I don't even think it's close. Like, at least from what we're seeing in preseason. Now, the good news is I'm really hoping that we're going to see something different out of Joe Brady and that we're just not trying to show our hand on what our offense is capable of doing. But the play calling is so mundane and so boring that it irritates me. Like, there's been
it is the preseason. You don't want to show it. You don't want to show it.
It is. But Phil Snow, and the reason I say this is, number one, Phil Snow is it seems like he's coming in and he seems, obviously we had some trouble with our third string defense, but again, take that with a grain of salt. But even our first stringers and our second stringers, we may have been moving the ball, but we weren't able to capitalize. And when we got to a position, we got overly conservative, which and to their credit and to their defense, Joe Brady may be saying, listen, I'm not going to dial up in my goal line stuff. I'm just going to be simple and basic on the goal line instead of actually trying to be overly aggressive. Like, and I just because why show your hand on what you're capable of doing in the preseason? I agree with that. But like, when you see that there's a clear difference between our offense and our defense right now, I'll be honest. Have we even seen an interview with Joe Brady? Like, Joe Brady is so away from the media. It's not.
He was. I felt like he was kind of out there a little bit last year. Like they had, and maybe you have to trot these guys out more during the regular season per NFL rules.
Right.
But yeah, we haven't seen this. And before we even talk about, because we know that Cody's going to talk about Joe Brady and how this looks like more like a LSU offense and all this. I know he's about to come out and say all this mess. If I'm Matt Rule, my lawyers are on the phone with EA right now. What did they do to him,
bro?
CK, dude, in this game? What a disservice that his graphic. And when you said rap mute, you picked it up right away. You didn't even hesitate, dude. I was crying, man. I was crying, but it's so true. Like, he needs to file like a slander lawsuit against EA for his.
Pull that shit up. Pull that shit up and let the squad see it, man. And especially people who hadn't watched that video, because it was absolutely god awful. Like, they did him no favors. I said, I said they got Matt Rule looking like he's 10 years older and on meth. Like that's what I see when
he was too fat to be on meth.
Right. You're right.
He looked fatter. Look, he's gained weight. You know what I'm saying? All coaches gain weight.
Yeah. I mean, you don't have time to
because all you're doing is working and eating and working and eating and staying up all night, not getting good sleep. But they even made my man heavier than he is in real life.
I know, dude.
That ain't even right.
They made his face. They didn't even match his hair up. I mean, I wonder. And the only thing I thought of is, I wonder if he didn't go and get scanned, or he didn't give his approval to use his likeness, and so they had to basically just kind of put somebody else's face on there. Because I think it happened with another coach as well that I was when I was playing some games. I can't remember who it was, but he wasn't the only one. But most everybody has almost a really good likeness to one another. But Matt Rule's is just very bad.
Jeez, call in a different sketch artist is what I would say.
Right.
If I was the guy trying to, Matt Rule would be not convicted of murder or not caught because this sketch was so off. All right, Cody, what did you see from this? What are your thoughts on the coaching staff after 2 games of the preseason?
So I echo CK's sentiments. I think Phil Snow is fantastic. I think he is.
Who's been saying it? Who's been saying it?
That's been Tony.
Thank you.
Yeah, I've been on Phil Snow a long time too. I've been giving Phil Snow his props. I think we all have. I think Phil Snow has done a lot of good things to our defense. I think that we played fast and aggressive. Especially when our 1s and 2s were out there. I felt like this whole game was a tale of 2 halves. The first half, our defense was flying around, creating turnovers, making plays, doing good things. But then when the second half rolls around, it's just nightmare fuel. Joe Brady, listen, I'm really not at the point yet where people want to freak out just because it's preseason. I maintain what I've said this entire build up to this season. Everyone on this team has a ton to prove. No one gets a pass on anything. I'm not giving a pass to Joe Brady for anything. I just think that tonight is not the game to make that assessment based off of. And then I'm also looking at, this is preseason. It's vanilla offenses. I am disappointed that Sam Darnold didn't get an attempt. He had like 2 passing attempts, 1 completion. I wanted to see him maybe try and pass the football a little bit more in the red zone. But, trying to keep stuff close to the vest, I understand it at this point. I still think Joe Brady will continue to prove that he is one of the brighter offensive minds in the NFL. We just have to find our rhythm. And, again, we have to remind ourselves the first 4 games of the season look to be very favorable for us to pull off a nice little streak. If the Panthers are able to find that rhythm early on, then, yeah, I think Joe Brady's offense is going to shine in a way that we haven't seen it before.
We still have that. They're still learning. They got a lot. There's nothing to evaluate about Joe Brady at this point through preseason because, it doesn't look out of sorts entirely. I don't think the teams look out of sorts. And what I think is that Phil Snow, and I like Phil Snow. I think he did a lot last year with not a ton. What I like is, you remember Ron Rivera used to always say is that the game comes down to 3 plays. He said every week it's like 1 or 2 or 3 plays or whatever, 1 or 2 or 1 or, and it's chunk plays. I don't really feel like our defense looks a lot of times like they got straight burned, except for in the run up the middle game, but at that point, like everything goes right. Like once one thing happens, then it's like,
it's just, when it rains, it pours.
I just don't feel like, we have a lot of guys going over top of us or getting behind us or a guy not knowing miscommunication. I think these guys are clicking pretty well. All right, let's go to the next call. 252-228-5098.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is the man that was here. Not to retro back, but Joey Sly sucks ass. And our Red Zone O, Red Zone D sucks ass. I can't remember which one. I was watching the game, and one of them ranked 28th in the league last year. So that's the work that has to be done. And
I think that was our red
last
zone
year,
offense, right? Maybe.
Our red
I
zone
think it was brought up in the
defense was
last
31st on
podcast
third
that
down.
Oh, okay.
Bridgewater they didn't work on red zone O. So I don't know about red zone D, but you know, your guys' thoughts on that, man. But I appreciate everything you guys do and keep pounding.
Man, thank you for the call. Go ahead with that, guys.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of alluded to it. Go ahead, CK, you take it.
No, yeah, I was just gonna say, like, number one, if you guys listen to my commentary on that game, a lot of the same things that I was saying was being said early on in the game by the commentators, Steve Smith, and his buddy there. I can't remember his name because he's not as important. We were 31st in the league on defense on getting off the field on third down. Red zone efficiency was horrible for our squad too. I don't remember where we placed in red zone efficiency for our offense, but I knew it was not good. And I do remember, that a lot of the struggles were not necessarily on other people other than Teddy, and also some of the play calling. Like I remember we had a lot of criticisms about the play calling that took place down in the red zone, but I think that also had to do with we didn't really have a true red zone threat. We didn't have tight ends that I felt like were actually going to be able to get us the ball over the top.
Right, that's number one.
We had, and if you look at our wideouts, they're not the tallest, right? And a lot of times red zone, because the field is so much shorter, you have so many people bunched up. Height is a big part of that. And when you have somebody who can moss it like we do now with Terrace, I think that
he's so strong, man. He's a hands catcher, dude. I saw it, dude. I've seen this guy. He's strong. He got some strong ass hands. He looks like a motherfucking football player.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I think that we're going to see a bit of a jump on our offense. Teddy can blame them not practicing all day, every day. He's played this game so long that he can't blame practice on everything, right? If you didn't practice the red zone as much, then that's not necessarily just on coaching. Can the coaching have adjusted and maybe did that, or could you have brought it up to the coaching midway through the season? Hey, I think we need to practice more on this, and they probably would have listened to you. Sure. But you can't wait until you've been traded to another team to shit talk your previous coaching staff about that. I think our offensive red zone is going to be much better this year, and I think you guys will be pleasantly surprised with that.
Yeah, I'm really disappointed. I mean, I don't want to say disappointed. Again, I really think that we haven't seen what our red zone offense is going to be this season. But I didn't like the play calling tonight in the red zone. But I also think that
running the ball, just run the ball.
Yeah, like we were just very willing to run the football, and I think it was very vanilla. And I get that
we
it was
went for it on fourth down too, right?
Yeah, and by the way, I also I was reasonably impressed with Chuba Hubbard tonight too.
Yeah,
I think that he
impressed. Man, you're so generous with this. Now you're everything. You're like,
all right, tell me he looked like shit.
No, he was. I think he had another up and down game. I think that last week you saw some good moments, and then you saw some moments that you wish you could have back. Tonight you saw him start right off. And last week I did say this, is that I largely attributed its kind of performance and maybe some of the drop balls is like it's his first. It's kind of the jitters, the nerves. I wanted to see this week how he settled in. Now, I think this coaching staff again said, man, it's Chuba Hubbard all the way, because they just giving him the rock all the time. He had a fumble, right? He had a catch out of the backfield right to start the game. That was good, though, right? So, yeah, is that he showed some things that, again, I think it showed that last week that he's going to get better week to week. But I would say, like, I was impressed necessarily. Dude, look at his here. Hold on, his stats. How are we gonna say this? He had 9 carries for 24 yards, and you're impressed?
I'm saying I'm impressed with his extra effort. Meaning, I find that whenever he gets hit, whenever he gets hit, he doesn't go down. I think he tries to find that extra running lane, and I think that he does a good job at making plays with what he's given. I mean, we're feeding him the rock, and I think that he continues to have more, impressive plays than unimpressive plays. He hasn't been a sore spot in our offense by any stretch of the imagination.
No, I'm not disappointed in him either. See, that's the thing but impressed.
And I tell you what, did
impressed by
impress me.
Terrence Marshall Jr. How
He
about that?
impressed me.
That's
How
a
about
guy
that?
that
How about
said
this
that.
one?
Wow.
He impressed me in pass protection. And tonight, even Steve Smith commented on it. That there were some times when Chuba Hubbard stood in there, squatted his ass down, and blocked his ass off. And that was something that he didn't do a lot in college, too. So, again, I think when I see a young player making strides, he doesn't have to have 150 yards to impress me. I think that he's just continuously working his way into playing NFL football.
You're right. I mean, if he would have had 31 yards rushing, I would have been over the moon, homie. Over the moon.
Next
let's
topic.
Let's go to the next call.
Hey guys, it's Joe again. Sorry, had the hiccups. It's Joey again, and I know you're talking about limiting the calls, but
it's okay. Tonight we're begging for him.
Do you want to see the offense? Not offense. Do you want to see the starters more next week, or do you just want to see them for one series, or do you want to see them at all? Because
we're gonna see them
the way that you really. That's why. And I hate 17 games because 17's an odd numbers. You have teams with more home games than other teams. And that it's not even, you can't extrapolate the numbers as much. It's just a pain in the ass. And it makes no sense unless you were going to have every team play an international game so that every team has 8 home games and 8 away games. Anyway, aside from that, that's really why I like 4 preseason games, because next week, now we're stuck in a situation where, because usually the last preseason game you play the starters. Now, do we play them? Or here's what we do. We give PJ Walker 1 quarter with the 2s. Will Greer 1 quarters with the 2s. Then we turn around the second half and give them each quarters with the 3s.
I'm down with this. I'm on Joey's team. I'm on Team Escobar
what are your
right
thoughts
now.
on that, guys? Wow.
I love this all the way, because I don't really think that whatever is going to happen, or do we have? Imagine if we did not play our starters tonight at all.
Right.
Okay. And also before I tell you to imagine that, what do you think the plan is to play the starters next week? What do you think the plan is next week?
I think it's already been pretty much confirmed that they're all playing at least one full half.
That's what they were saying on the
A
broadcast.
whole half?
A whole half.
Okay.
Yeah, for as much up to a half. Yeah.
So my question to you guys then is say that they are going to play the full next half this next week. Say we sat them this week. Have we lost the competitive advantage
if they didn't
as
play
a
a single
team
snap this year?
If they didn't play if they didn't play that one series, is that one series a lost competitive advantage by the Carolina Panthers?
No, and I don't know if that's what Joey's talking about. I think Joey's more focused on next week, right?
Right. No, but what I'm saying is that I'm with him, as in not wanting to see the starters a lot, period. Are we truly gaining such a competitive advantage? Aaron Rodgers hasn't played a preseason game in like 20 years, it feels like. Right? Does anybody sit out there and go, man, if he would have just had a quarter in the preseason, he wouldn't be rusty?
So I watched a little bit of the Bears today, and Andy Dalton didn't look super impressive to me, but yet they're still doubling down on him being the starter. I mean, you run the risk of kind of worrying the fan base if Sam goes out there and doesn't look good. But at the same time, I want to see Sam needs to have some fear. He needs to have fear of contact. And that's something that
you don't think
really
he has
get
that. He's got
scrimmages.
PTSD of contact after New York Jets, bro.
I mean, not when you're in practice and you're wearing the red jersey and everyone.
But he played
all the
2
coaches
years with the Jets.
are
This
getting pissed at
motherfucker
the
pees his
defense.
pants when people run at him. Come on, like he's like got no feet. Come on,
Right, so that's what I'm saying. You're misunderstanding me.
Mom's here.
That's why I want to see him in preseason. He needs to have fear of someone knocking him on his butt.
Well,
and right now he doesn't have that in training camp.
Well, especially this week, right? I mean, last week he's still redshirted, but he's still going up against the defense. He's still having to make those reads. I agree with Cody. I think once he's actually out there, and even Sam has said this. He's missing he misses getting tackled. I don't know how true that is, but he does that does bring an extra layer of aggression in a lot of these people, where that's when they kind of snap into their zone, and hopefully, not getting hit too much, but hopefully Sam Darnold does that in the preseason. I think that it's a good thing that we're going to have him playing in the preseason, because only thing we're going to be doing this week is practicing against our own guys. There is no joint practice. The benefit this past week and the week before that, the reason why not seeing them nearly as much was so valuable is because of the reps that they were getting in practice against another team. They're not having that luxury this time. And this is going to be a time where they can actually truly try to set in a game plan, try to actually come out there with some idea of what they want to accomplish and try to make that a reality. I think it's a big deal that they play this third preseason game, because I think that's going to be a really important thing to get that mesh going. Otherwise, we're going to be constantly talking about it. If he starts slow, we're going to be like, well, he should have played the preseason. I think this is the best way to do it.
And I want to get everyone's opinion on this too. This was the T-shirt that Sam Darnold wore at his press conference, and it's giving everyone a good head scratch. He's wearing this Panther shirt. It has the Panther logo, and across it says "No decision." What does that even mean? Like, this isn't a shirt that they sell. They
don't sell this. This is something that they printed up for the players. It either has to be some sort of
what does this even mean?
Matt Rule, like saying like there's no decision but to be the best. Something like that. It's gonna be something like that. Or I hope he had this shirt made and it really means no decision but me. You Panther, the Panthers organization has no decision but me. Did you see what happened with your backups, homies? That's what it means.
Or did he say, like, why did you not play more than one round? I had no decision in that.
Yeah. Why did you play in the preseason at all? No decision.
No decision. Yeah. No decision. Yeah.
Oh man.
The Black Panther says probably has something to do with COVID vaccines.
Oh, that's actually very smart. Even though these were the guys that were reluctant to talk about it and take it, he was one of them. Him and Christian McCaffrey.
Or what would be funny is if it's like, have you made the decision to get the vaccine? I've made no decisions yet.
I had no decision to make.
Oh, another good one.
Yeah.
I need this shirt. I'd be like, what if every time your wife asks you to do something, it's like, are you gonna do this? No decision.
I mean, I kind of don't like the shirt though, just because it's so indecisive in nature.
I know.
It's so
it is.
Neutral. It's not making a strong statement. It's saying, I don't know.
We have to get to the bottom of this shirt. In fact, I'm going to set the C3 chat on the mission to find out what is the decision or lack of decision behind this shirt. Please help us understand what the no decision is. All right, guys, I think we've there actually one more call trickled in. Let's go for it. Let's see. It looks like a short one too. This might be my mom. Yep, this is my mother. Let's end the show, Emma.
Hi, just wanted to say hello to your team. Miss seeing you. Thought I'd tune in to see how you look. Keep it. Kick the high road. Love you. Bye.
Thanks, Mom. All right. Guys, we've got one more preseason game ahead of us next week. A late show probably coming at us, right? I think it's a Friday night and 8 or 9 o'clock kickoff. It's late. It's late.
Yeah. It's a late one.
We'll get it in there. We'll get it in there.
That's what she said.
We're gonna see. We're gonna see how these starters look in this first half. And
is that on a Friday night?
I think it is a Friday. Isn't it?
Yeah.
What did I say?
Let me see.
I think it is Friday night.
It is Friday. 100%
Yeah, because this week was Saturday. Last week was. I just remember it being a down slide, like Sunday, Saturday, Friday.
Yeah.
And then every game time went up, so the day got earlier and the time went later.
Okay, so then no Friday free for all this Friday then, because it's gonna start normally when we'd be doing it. So we'll just do the post game. So you heard it here first, folks. No Friday free for all this Friday, but every Friday after, it's
back at it.
Yep,
it's
back at it. So the Panthers are 0-2 in the preseason, but I do think there have been, as kind of the team I expected to see at this point in a good way, right? I think there's been some positives out of this team, right? There's some potential, but there are some concerns when you get past those first front lines, right? I mean, all of a sudden, and let's credit, and I don't want to dump on the third liners too much because they're not all going to play together all the time, right? If one of those guys finds their way into the game, they're going to be playing with the ones, so the ones hopefully can pick them up. If a guy that's backup is all of a sudden in, playing a starting role or contributing role, he's not with a bunch of other guys who are equal or lesser players than him. He's with guys that can lift him up, right? So let's not get too scared about that. We're going to continue keeping an eye on the offensive line. The backup quarterback question is going to be, that's going to be one of the cuts we think is going to be made. We don't think this team has the luxury to run 3 quarterbacks this year. I don't think so. And then you're going to continue to, will Sly have some competition this week? Can you really wait beyond this week? Do you give Sly one more chance? All of these questions looming ahead as we get into things. So I think that's about it. You guys got anything else you want to say about next week or now?
No, I'm just excited, man. I think this is an important week.
Just
for
like
the Panthers.
Steve Smith. Just excited. I'm so excited.
I'm just excited, man. I'm excited. I think this is an important
week 3.
This is an important week. Oh yeah, that's a game. Yeah, game ball.
Yeah, let's
we
do
need
a
to
game ball.
Fantastic. Hey, I'll go first. Mine's super simple.
Go ahead.
Frankie Louvu. Dude, Frankie Louvu was my player to watch for this game. That was the guy I kept my eye on. And he absolutely showed out again. That guy was on every single play. Frankly, I think he's played his way onto the 53-man roster. I think he was incredibly impressive. Game ball goes to Frankie Louvu. And wait a minute, didn't we used to call this our dab on him pick?
Yeah.
Yeah, we need to bring that back, man. We shouldn't let that die. It needs to be our dab on him pick.
All right. We'll bring it back.
Are we doing a towel of shame then as well?
My dab on him pick then goes to Will Greer, actually. Where are you?
Yeah.
I'll let you have it. No, go ahead. The reason I'm going to say this is I think Will Greer, exceeded what I thought he was going to do in this opportunity. Right. It's just been the conundrum of so long, the Will Greer conundrum. It's just been so symbolic of the problems we've had. And that doesn't have to do with him. It's got to do with the Cam situation, the Teddy situation, the draft, Marty Herney, all of this. All these things Will Greer happens to be symbolic of, and it's not his fault of. And that I felt like he's had, I wouldn't say a lack of opportunity, but he hasn't had opportunity.
Right.
If you're in that position of a backup quarterback, if you're these guys, you don't get a lot of opportunities. So if you only get one opportunity, you can't say there's a lack of opportunities. There's always a dearth of opportunities for these guys. I thought there was a lot of pressure riding on this. I thought that he came out and said last week that he was vocal about not being upset, but saying like, he wants a chance to compete, and the team assured him, and they did. How about that? Give them credit for that. They went and trotted him out and gave him a equal amount of time because they knew it was on the storyline. And I think he answered the call today. I think he did about as best as you could think he could do in that situation. Like, what else in the moment, unless he audibled out of those run plays and did something awesome? If he executed the offense, if he moved, he moved the ball, he was accurate, he's consistent. I think he made a good case for him. So my game ball goes to him.
Yep. I agree.
Dab on him.
There you go. I think he did a fantastic job in doing one of two things: either actually putting his name in the real ring for the backup QB position, or making sure that he is a valuable commodity where he's able to be traded to another place that he would be the backup. I think that there are multiple situations that could exist here. I think it's going to be hard for this coaching staff to let go of PJ Walker, in my opinion. I think they have too much of a personal connection with him, and I think it's going to be easier to trade Will Grier than it is PJ Walker for this coaching staff. But we'll see if they decide to go with nepotism, or if they decide to go with what they really need in a backup, and we'll find out what that is with PJ Walker or Will Grier. But I'll go with how about this? I'll go with limited action. I'll go with Brian Burns. Brian Burns came in there and showed how explosive he can be on this defensive line.
Superstar.
Superstar in the making, guys. Just he's going to come out here and do that. So dab on him there, Brian Burns.
Love it. Bad game. I guess if we're going to do a talent shame, that means the bad game of who had the bad game.
Are we restricting this to the Panthers, or is it going to be everybody?
Well, I think you can be everybody. You can do whatever you want. I'm not going to chastise you. My bad game, you guys got somebody that's standing out to you who had a bad game?
I could say our entire third string D line. Like our entire third string defense was so pitiful on third down. It was just embarrassing at the end of the game. I can't necessarily pinpoint a specific player.
Right.
I think maybe Bravion Roy kind of jumped some gaps, just trying to be aggressive, but I don't know. I don't really have a player that jumps off the top of my head.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with this one is because he might not have even played a snap. How about that? Having a bad game and not even playing a snap, unless if somebody can tell me that Ian Thomas is hurt, missing in action, homie. I haven't heard his name throughout this camp. I haven't heard anything about Ian Thomas, and right now, Tommy Tremble, right? I heard Tommy Tremble's name tonight. I heard Dan Arnold got a holding call. Heard his name. I don't even know, is Ian Thomas even on this team? So that's my towel of shame.
Yeah. I'm gonna say my towel of shame is going to PJ Walker. I think he hurt his position tremendously today.
I think so.
In comparison, like if you want to sit there and compare apples to apples, like everybody was defending, like saying that Will Grier was trash because he was going up against the threes of the Colts. Well, PJ Walker was going up against the threes of the Ravens and was not able to do anything. Like I said, I thought last week that PJ Walker had an advantage. I don't believe that anymore. Unless this team really wants to really show. I believe right now, if something happens this week and Will Grier is traded or released, it's 100% nepotism. There should be. I don't think there's even. I think it's a close call, but I don't think there's a close enough call to where you can't choose Will Grier over PJ Walker.
Yeah, let's see next week, right? I mean, you got like if you make the decision now, if you've already made the decision after tonight, then that I thought they had made the decision last week, kind of in their heads, but I think Will Grier does have to give you pause at this moment and challenge even those initial evaluations. Cody, what you got for talent of shame? If that's for our new thing, we're gonna have to come up with a dab. We kept keeping the dab on them.
Yeah, again, man, I want to say our entire third down or our entire third string.
Oh, you already said it.
Man.
All right, that's right.
Yeah.
Sorry, we've been through it. Never mind. I forgot because it was such a vague answer. Mine was a guy. Hey, you know what? I'm criticizing you, and their players actually played. I'm criticizing the player they even play. All right, that's the C3 Panthers post game show. brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com, where every Tuesday night we chop up the latest Panthers news and opinions from the fan perspective. It's the longest running Panthers podcast out because we don't shut up. We don't shut up. We just get up here. We don't quit. We keep coming back. We are consistently consistent, unlike Joey Sly, who could have gotten that towel of shame ball or towel of shame. But we're here on Tuesday nights. But now, as the season unfolds, there's a lot more content rolling out here. We usually have the Friday free for all hosted by Cody and Lasney, where any fan can jump in there and have a good time. I hung out with these guys this past Friday. This will be paused for 1 week because the game is going to be on Friday night, so we'll invest that energy in the post-game show.
Yep.
I do want to plug an interview. We're going to have Tim Jenkins Tuesday night. Tim Jenkins, who is a former NFL quarterback and quarterbacks coach in the offseason, PJ Walker, mentor to him, was really high on PJ's performance after week 1. He's going to join us after this, and we'll have to see how he's evaluated this. I'm sure he's not going to have the most.
I'm worried that he's going to back out.
He's not going to back out because he's going to talk about Sam. He won't back out.
I don't know. He didn't.
He is a stumper, though.
Yeah, he's an incredible. Like, he does not said a bad word about PJ Walker, even in his analyzing his last week's gameplay.
Yeah,
he's very high on PJ, and I get it. Why would you put that
That's
bad
your guy.
mojo out there?
That's your guy.
You can't be talking bad about him. And I don't know that he's going to be able to come on here and talk about anything positive this past week.
Well, Tim Jenkins is scheduled to be here on Tuesday night. And we'll get his thoughts. Hopefully, if not, if he backs out, maybe we'll get him after week 3. When it's
Did you see where I posted on Twitter? I go after that beautiful pass from Will Grier to Terrace. I said, so nobody's going to talk about this perfectly placed pass that Will Grier just had, and Tim Jenkins responded, No, we are not.
Did he? That's awesome. Yeah. That is fantastic.
I love the pay.
Oh no, it's not pay. It's just you know what? We got horses, and we root for our horses sometimes. If you own a horse and you running in the Derby, you rooting for that mug. You were rooting for that mug. Also, CK dropped a gorgeous video today. What happened today? Because I watched this sucker like I was watching it might have been more interesting in the game I watched tonight.
Certainly.
Yeah, basically, we did a simulation on Madden of this game prior to this game, obviously. And I just basically recorded the entire thing, and then afterwards, I didn't watch it at all until I did the actual playback, where I did the voiceover, and I just commentated the entire thing. I took down the actual in-game commentators volume all the way down, because who the fuck wants to listen to those guys? And because they just say the same shit over and over and over again, it gets irritating. And then I just did based on the play-by-play, and I did highlights. I didn't do the entire game. It would have been an hour and 20 minutes, but yeah, man,
you're good. You're a natural, dude. Like you do this, you get a couple of weeks under your belt, you're gonna be getting a job somewhere.
No, I mean,
it was really good. No, there was no no. I could not have, and that's your first one you dropped.
Yeah,
it's fantastic. And I was interested, intrigued by the idea. I have my kids watch other people play video games all the time.
Yeah.
Like they watch all these like stories that people build. They watch that more than they watch real television or whatever it was. But it's not, I'm not of that generation where we do, I was all in. I was like sitting there like a little kid. I had my phone propped up. I watched from the beginning to the end. No pause, man. No pause. Except for actually I did pause at one time to reach over on Twitter and be like, this is so good. So you guys got to check out those simulation, Madden 22 simulations, and CK is going to be commentating those, and I'm sure he's going to find some ways to bring some other people in or make them continue to grow.
Yeah.
So you guys support that. And so we've got Tim Jenkins coming up. We've got the Friday free-for-alls that are going to return after this week. One last thing is cuts. Don't they? That 5 more players are going to go this week on Tuesday?
I think that's Tuesday. Yeah, so we'll talk about that on our Tuesday show.
Tuesday night, 9 p.m., longest running Panthers podcast live. Call into the show at 252-228-5098. Don't forget, Look, we do this just because we like hanging out and talking about Panthers football with Panthers fans. And wasn't it nice to see your Twitter timeline just exploding and exploding with all the people talking about the same thing? Football is back, baby. Football is back, and we're so close to the real thing. We hope you can join us on Tuesday night at 9 p.m. will be our next show. Cody, how can they find you on the intranets?
Yeah, find me on Twitter at CodyLac, CodyLac. Yeah, I love Twitter on game days. I always tweet a bunch of shit. My Twitter goes crazy. So definitely interact with me. I'll be sure and interact with you and follow back. I'm also the Panthers analyst on drafttech.com, where I write first and second round picks for the Carolina Panthers. And the Friday Free For All will be on hiatus just this Friday, but it will be back every subsequent Friday after that, where you get to join the show and dictate what we talk about. And that's it for your boy.
CK, where can they get after you?
You can get at me on all social media platforms, Codizzle_Allen. I stream mainly on Facebook, but occasionally I do have the Twitter or the Twitch rather, and the YouTube up and doing it that way. But guys, I'm more excited right now for this weekly drop of the simulation of the upcoming matchup. So I'm going to try to do it the day before each game. So for instance, this Friday, I'm going to try to get it out Thursday so that we have it the day before. Today was a Saturday. It was a little bit harder. I didn't want to interrupt the Friday free for all last night. So I didn't do it yesterday. We have dropped it this morning, but on a regular occurrence, just look at it for the day before. So that way you guys have additional Panthers content to watch and maybe see a prediction that turns out better than the one that happened this time. We were supposed to win this one based on that prediction, but
we knew it was all fishy when Sly was 3 for 3 and that.
You know what's funny about it is going into the half, or going into the a part of somewhere in the third quarter, the score was identical to what it was on the simulation. It was 9-3. The Panthers were down 9-3 in the simulation at some point too. And it was like around the exact same time. I was like, "Oh shit, what the fuck?" Madden, are you like predicting something here? Anyway, but guys, be
all right. You can find me.
Fun.
You can find me on Twitter at @cat_chronicles. See you Tuesday night, folks. Don't forget Discord channel. Everything. We're just trying to hang out, talk football with people that love the same thing. Till then, keep pounding. Take us out of here, Mr. Producer, man.
Pounding.